With all the screaming, shouting, and scare tactics, it's hard to know what's true about health reform. The truth is that most Americans want reform to protect basic health care and provide options for quality, affordable care. But some groups want new restrictions on women's health care and to take away coverage American women have now. Planned Parenthood is working to protect our health and for stable, secure coverage we can all afford. Join us.
After fighting cancer, my health insurance company left me over $90,000 in the hole.
I couldn't work because I was sick, and I couldn't get better because I didn't have health insurance.
I want to provide health care to my employees. They deserve it, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to do.
If I get sick, really sick, and got to be hospitalized or something, I stand a chance of losing everything.
I think Americans deserve better. This is one promise the politicians have to keep.
My son has cerebral palsy and epilepsy. He's 4.
When I lost my job, I lost my health insurance too.
My insurance company wouldn't fully cover me when I got sick.
My father-in-law walks with a limp because he didn't have health care.
My husband's job covered us until he was laid off.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for health care reform.
The Democratic National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Overnight, my healthcare premiums tripled. No one can afford that.
When you lose your job and you lose your health care, you feel hopeless.
My husband has a heart condition, and we can't afford for him to see a cardiologist.
I'm not interested in a handout. I'm interested in health care coverage that I can afford for my family.
What am I going to do? How am I going to make these payments?
Every American needs access to affordable health care. It's time.
When I started working, I didn't have health insurance. I know most people are just a pink slip and a major illness away from financial ruin. That's why I brought local doctors together to offer free health services for families in need. And we opened 5 health clinics around the county. But the real problem is in Washington. We need to change priorities and make health care affordable for every American. I'm Mary Jo Kilroy, and I sponsored this ad to change Washington. When I started working, I didn't have health insurance. I know most people are just a pink slip and a major illness away from financial ruin. That's why I brought local doctors together to offer free health services for families in need. And we opened 5 health clinics around the county. But the real problem is in Washington. We need to change priorities and make health care affordable for every American. I'm Mary Jo Kilroy, and I sponsored this ad to change Washington.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. If your child had a cough, she'd get just what the doctor orders.
You know what? I make a lot more money if I take this kid's tonsils out.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
If there's a blue pill and a red pill, and the blue pill is half the price of the red pill and works just as well, why not pay half price?
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Maybe you're better off not having the surgery, but taking the painkiller.
Illness doesn't care where you live, or if you're already sick, or if you lose your job. Your health insurance shouldn't either. So let's fix healthcare. If everyone's covered, we can make healthcare as affordable as possible. And the words pre-existing condition become a thing of the past. We're America's health insurance companies. supporting bipartisan reforms that Congress can build on.
I'm happy to have health insurance. I don't like dealing with the health insurance company. As a 25-year cancer survivor, I worry that when I change jobs, I'll lose my health insurance. We have to have reform that allows people to keep their health insurance if they like it, but that forces the insurance companies to behave themselves. And gives us the public health insurance option so that all of us have coverage no matter what. We need Senator Snowe to continue her independence and show us that she cares more about the people of Maine than the insurance lobby.
Washington now runs your banks, insurance, and car companies. But do you trust Washington with your life? Congress is rushing to take over health care, too. Paid for by $600 billion in new taxes and cutting $400 billion from Medicare. Plus, tens of millions will lose their current insurance and wind up on the government health plan. What will happen to your family's health care if Washington runs it? Tell Senator Landrieu to vote no on government-run health care.
How can Obama's plan cover 50 million new patients without any new doctors? It can't. It will hurt our seniors. End Medicare as we know it. Ration coverage and care. Limit life-saving medicines. Impose long delays on cancer treatment and other vital surgery. It's happening in England and in Canada. Don't let it happen here.
Tell Congress to protect American health care. Paid for by the League of American Voters.
Your loved one denied surgery. A government bureaucrat decided it isn't needed. Your hard-earned tax dollars funding abortions. Liberals in Congress decided they are needed. Congress will soon vote on President Obama's healthcare bill, a bill limiting our choices to preserve life and expanding the choice to end one. Our greatest generation denied care. Our future generation denied life. Call your senator. Family Research Council Action is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
I voted for Reagan, Nixon, George W. Bush, and Senator Chuck Grassley, too. Served my country for over 24 years in the Army. I've talked to friends and neighbors around Iowa, and one thing is clear. No matter what the politicians in Washington, D.C. say, Democrats and Republicans back home want the public health insurance option. When they choose to deny care, private insurance companies make life or death decisions every day. We should be able to choose too. People are hurting, and folks want to change. I voted for Senator Grassley in the past, but when Grassley takes over $2 million from the big health and insurance industries that oppose reform, and then says he won't give Iowans the choice of a public option, I have to ask, Senator, whose side are you on?
The Progressive Change Campaign Committee and Democracy for America are responsible for the content of this advertising.
Today, a national TV network turns its airways over to President Obama's pitch for government-run health care. Shouldn't this be a bipartisan discussion? Republicans want health care reform that reduces costs across the board. Republicans believe every single American deserves quality health care. Republicans also believe another government takeover would diminish health care choice and quality. President Obama talks about a, quote, public option. When he says public option, that means putting government bureaucrats in charge instead of patients and their doctors. It's a bad idea. Republicans want bipartisan health care reform, a responsible plan that we can afford, where people are free to choose the best care for their families without a government takeover. Tell President Obama to work with Republicans and to stop rushing into another government takeover. The Republican National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.